WarsawJS.
My name is Krzysztof Moszyński. My international name is Christopher Mael, and I'm a software developer and a coach. And my presentation is about the sphere of influence and proactive mindset and how this can become your personal power. So, the sphere of influence is the idea that some things we can affect easier than others. It's a very basic idea and a very useful idea as well. Ancient Stoics had a very dualist view of this sphere of influence. They thought that some things are completely in our control, our thoughts, our emotions, our behavior, how we shape our character, and these we should focus on, these we should work to change. And others, like everything else, basically people's opinions, reputation, the results of our actions, we should just accept as they come, accept as they are. However, modern Stoics have developed a more sophisticated, more complex view of concentric rings. There are various degrees of influence. Some things we can influence easier, using less power to achieve more, and some are more difficult. Some are virtually impossible to affect. Like, who can change the past, okay? So then the question becomes, where do we direct our attention and energy in life? Or where do we direct more, and where do we direct less? And this is like the typical, like many people live like this, okay? They direct a lot of energy, like watching the news about things that they have zero power over, like getting invested into many issues in the world, issues in the culture, issues very difficult to change, very difficult to influence, and they forget about the issues that are close to them, their family, their lives, the environment. Now, this is a perhaps more healthy, more recommended distribution of attention, investing more into areas where our power is higher. Of course, we can still sometimes think about human nature, or still sometimes think about the past and maybe get some lessons from it, but maybe let's focus on what we can change, what we can affect. And in any situation, we also have a choice to focus on aspects of it that are outside of our control or things within our power. Yeah? So every situation has certain aspects of it that are more within our sphere of influence, and others, okay, someone wrote bad code, someone wrote complex code. What can I do with it right now? And let's get a different take from Lao Tzu, from Taoism. He is more about letting reality be reality, letting things flow as they flow, letting things be, not fighting the reality. And it's because the reality is not only always stronger, but also usually right. Things often are the way they are for good reasons, especially if they were organically developed, like our civilization. And why is this important? Because investing too much attention and energy into what we can't affect slowly transforms us into passive, self-victimizing crybabies. And, okay, why I put a baby here? Like, babies are naturally passive and helpless, and that's okay. That's the way they are, okay? And many people never mentally grow out of that state, which is not okay. I've had my personal difficulties getting there, getting from here to here, and I have stagnated for years until I've learned to truly go for things I want in life and focus only on what I can affect. Changing minds takes time and effort. Of course, yes, I agree. Still, it's probably better to be here, like, it's probably more preferable for most of us. And of course, it's also a matter of degree, because everyone sometimes needs a hug. Everyone sometimes needs to complain a bit about the difficult reality that they can't affect. Sometimes think about it, yes. So the question is, are we crying babies just some of the time or all the time? And now, I do some coaching, and here are some questions I often ask my clients. So, these are very useful questions. What do I like about the situation? Because it's very important to already appreciate what is good about the situation. Appreciation and gratitude for the good instead of forgetting about all the good and focusing on the bad. Let's think about what is good. What do I like about this situation? What do I dislike about the situation? How can I change the situation for a more preferable state? What lies within my power? What lies the closest to my power? How can I grow and change my thinking to better face the reality around me? This is related to the Taoist view, the Taoist principle. Instead of trying to change the nature, trying to change the entire world, change yourself to better adapt to the world. And I will give you an example from my own life. Several months ago, I have discovered that I actually have Asperger's. So for a long time, I've been surrounded by people with Asperger's, so I thought that I'm normal, but apparently I'm not. And this really enabled me to understand myself better. And now I can think, what do I like about the situation? Yeah, I can greatly focus on things, on a particular thing. What do I not like about the situation? When I greatly focus on one thing, I lose focus from everything else. And this is difficult, particularly in social situations, and this makes me a bit sensitive to, for example, sensory stimuli. How can I change the situation for more preferable state? Okay, so I could try to change everyone's mind to be more accepting towards the way autistic people are, whatever. I could do that. Or I could just learn to adapt myself to the people as they are. Learn to exist in the world that I have. Here are some nice earplugs. When it's loud around me, instead of complaining, instead of trying to make everything adapt to me, I just wear my earplugs. That's okay. How can I grow and change my thinking to better face the reality around me? Well, I could think about myself. Oh, I'm a victim. I had this difficult thing in my life. I have this difficult thing in my life. I have no hair. Okay, I have, they are just very short. So, or I could adapt my thinking so that I can face the problems and find the solutions and change my life and everything around me for the better. So this is what I like. Thank you for listening. This is my Facebook, LinkedIn, and my coaching link or meeting link. You can set up any meeting with me, online or offline.
Thank you, Krzysztof.
From the perspective of a former therapist and psychologist, I wanted to ask you, how do you ensure that people that you have on coaching sessions accept the fact that not every person is able so easily, for example, to move from one mindset to another? Because my therapeutic perspective is that many people don't have opportunities, don't have space to move from this crying child to a person who is able to set rules for themselves. So how do you make it so people are more inclusive and don't force their great new mindset to others? If you go through the change of your mindset and you have some good experiences with that, you have successes, it's really easy to think that others, if they just do the same as you did, will have the same results, will be in the same great point, which is not true because others may not have the same opportunities, considering money.
Okay. Oh, I think I understand the question now. So when I'm coaching someone, I try to solve their problems, not theoretical problems of other people around them that could arise. And if, of course, they face this issue in, for example, one of their relationships, that they have problem interacting, communicating with a loved one, for example, because they are trying to kind of force their mindset on them, then we could talk about this as it becomes their problem, okay? So usually, I don't think I've ever actually faced this, but yeah, it is possible, and it is a relevant phenomenon. Yes.
It's true. Every person has a different brain chemistry. Some people are able to change mind and frequency more, and some people simply don't have the neural capacity. Simply physically don't have it. That is also true.
So how do you negotiate the value? Because if you want to be successful and other people want to be successful and that's a real value for them, then you just accept it and you follow that. However, this is always a question of what's first. If what means to be successful, in what way, where, if you show the slide with the focus.
Is this a question, sir?
Yes. My question is about yes. So you put in the center the things that we seem to have most control about, right? Or is it an importance?
Of course, you can talk about this. You can argue if this is a proper distribution. It's approximate.
We could also argue about whether we actually affect the past now or not. Because, listen, they're not joking in quantum physics, okay? So maybe we are able to change the past.
Please continue.
Yes, so my question is, how does this intersect with our hierarchy of values? And everyone has a different one, right? So in this case, this percentage of control might be into different vectors, so it might be a 3D diagram actually.
How do we here? So I think this is a very relevant question, and also I will add that this can differ for different people, because if you are a Mr. President, you might have greater say about the government policy than your own family. That's possible. That's possible. And of course, some people will prefer to focus on the things they have little control about, and maybe actually they develop themselves, they put themselves into a place where they have much more control over those things. Still, I think that's approximately, like, for most of us, like, ignoring this, like, as a general rule of happiness, flourishing, I would say that ignoring this completely, like, it doesn't work, really. Like, it doesn't work for, ignoring this doesn't work for anyone. Ignoring this doesn't work for 99% of people. Ignoring this, well, maybe it's, ignoring this, well, you can safely ignore this maybe. And this, yeah, probably ignore. So it is not a rule set in stone. Of course, different people value different things. It's just that when you focus your attention on some things and neglect this, it's very difficult to flourish as a human being and be, like, effective even in achieving any goal.
I think there's a huge difference between neglect and ignorance, don't you? So I don't think it's a good idea to ignore anything.
One more thing, because also the word being effective, also the question is when you're effective, because effective is the source, the mean, and not the goal, right? So this is also the question about the goal, right? So
yes, of course.
This is negotiable, right?
Of course. At the same time, like, there are some means, some goals that also become very efficient means to other goals. Like, I think, like, there are certain goals that if I achieve them, I can be much better prepared to universally face the universe in any other goals in the future. So I think these tend to be more universal as well.
Krzysztof, thank you very much. We really appreciate it.
Warsaw.